Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening.
It's like we're live and recording. Sorry if I go ahead and read the intro here.
Yep. Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay. The format of this meeting consists of board members and applicants attending a live online Zoom meeting. For applicants, please only speak when the chair indicates time to do so. For example, he may ask if anyone is present to speak for an application. In addition, as usual, prior to addressing the board, please state your name, address, and affirm that you will tell the truth. This meeting is also streaming live on the city's YouTube channel, viewable by the public. For the public, viewers on YouTube have the ability to type in comments. If you enter in a comment on YouTube, please first indicate your name and address. Comments can be entered at any time, but will be relayed to the board when the chair indicates that it's time to do so during the public hearing portion of the application. Please also be aware there's an approximate 15-second delay between the Zoom meeting and the live stream on YouTube. That's all I have for now, and I'll turn it over to Stuart to begin the meeting.
Hey, thank you, Andrew. This is the regularly scheduled November meeting of the Worcester Board of Building and Zoning Appeals. This is a volunteer board of Worcester citizens established to hear requests for variances, appeals, and similar applications as specified in the City of Worcester Planning and Zoning Code. Board members present this evening are Greg McIlvaine, Ben Gunn, Ken Suchan, Mark Reynolds, Doug McMillan, and Brad Gowans. My name is Stuart Fitzgibbon, and I am chairman of this board. Because these hearings are a matter of legal record, the public portion of the meeting is recorded. Therefore, we ask that if and when you speak, as Andrew just indicated, please speak loudly and clearly. We also ask that prior to speaking, each speaker gives his or her name, address, and affirmation to tell the truth. Following the meeting, the appellant for each application will receive notification of the board's decision. The application to be considered tonight is BZA 20-28. Our first order of business is roll call. Greg?
Here.
Ben?
Here.
Ken?
Here.
Mark?
Here.
Doug?
Here.
Brad?
Here.
And I too am here. Our next order of business is approval of two sets of meeting minutes. One from the regular meeting of October 1st and the other from the special meeting of October 15th. If there's no objection, we will take them together. Are there any questions, comments, or corrections? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve both as stated.
Thank you, Ben. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ken. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. All right, we have two sets of minutes approved. Our application for tonight is BZA 20-28. Mike Bizjack requesting an area variance from Planning and Zoning Code section 11.2, allow the expansion of a non-conforming sign at 1799 Portage Drive in a C2 community commercial zoning district. And I apologize if I mispronounced the name. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf?
Yes, my name is Mike Bizjack. I'm with Sesco Imaging. I believe also here is Jerry. Did I say your name wrong, Jerry? Jerry Kreitz and Michelle Feeher from Glimcher Group. We're here, I'm sorry, my main office address is 4330 North Bend Road, Ashtabula, Ohio 44004. We are here on behalf of Glimcher and Portage Square Development to request the addition of a 6-foot by 8-foot overall sign cabinet structure to the existing non-conforming sign. If I'm not mistaken, the reasoning for the requirement of the variance is because we're at a height of 20 foot where 12 foot is required. Our size is actually within the allowable size for this property at depending on how it's measured, either 95 or 120 square feet. The primary reason for this variance is the unique property that this sits on. This property sits on an incline from west to east, and this causes issues with visibility of signage in the building itself. So this property has some is hindered in many respects, and so therefore the tenants are hindered in many respects, especially when you get to the smaller tenants who are going to have smaller building signs. So what we're trying to do is get a sign that is actually going to be visible to traffic for a long enough period of time that they're able to easily see and read this. Now, coming from the east, it's not a problem, but as you're coming up the hill from the west, the property is obscured by trees, and you're basically past everything before you're able to see anything. That is the reason why we're asking to maintain this existing non-conforming structure at the height it is, and add on to it to allow for this tenant, these additional tenants to have proposed tenants to have identification. That extra clearance height at the bottom does make a big difference. I think that's visible in all the photos that were sent over, whereas you're ascending that hill, the bottom portion of the structure actually gets obscured by the hill itself, or the crest of the hill. You don't see the entire structure until you're almost at the crest of the hill. If this is granted, I mean, we like I said, we are within the allowable square footage, so we're not asking for something more than what would normally be allowed for from that standpoint. It is an existing structure, and the only difference would be a height that already exists. So we're not increasing a nonconformity in any manner. So what this will do is allow for that identification and allow them to fill out the buildings. And I'm sure Mr. Kreitz from Ms. Feeher would be able to expand on that a little bit more.
May I add to that?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Jerry Kreitz. I'm with the Glimcher Group, 500 Grant Street, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15219. Excuse me. What Mike says is, I'm sorry?
Can you affirm to tell the truth?
I affirm to tell the truth. What Mike said was absolutely correct. One thing I would like to also bring up is the storefronts. You cannot, we're talking about the sign, but you can't see the storefronts on the left side that are vacant right now because of the hillside, because of the trees. So any tenant the tenants we're talking to now to go in there, they are all asking, they need roadside signage for it to happen. Because as you can see the pictures, it's tough to see from the road. So that's what I'd like to add to what Mike already said.
Are there any questions that you might be able to answer regarding the request or the property or the?
I guess if that's the end of your presentation, then yes, questions from members of the board.
A question about where the Kmart site sign was. Was it fully contained within that big square? Is that
Yes.
where the old Kmart sign was? Okay.
Where Marks and Ollie's is now is where Kmart was.
Kmart was, and Kmart was developed before the new sign ordinance, so that's why the height is what it is. It was legal at the time, I take it.
We'll assume that, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never seen we saw when the first time I saw the sign, it had been painted out. I assume that
Mhm.
existing structure, if you see in the lower right-hand corner, says existing sign on what is up on the screen right now. That is the same structure. It's just been upgraded with LED lighting. It had blasting and new paint finish and new faces, obviously for the primary anchor tenants of the new development.
And so just to restate what I think is pretty obvious is when Kmart developed it, it was a single tenant. And essentially now you're subdividing the building and you'll have a total of 5 tenants in it.
Up to 5. It may be, the vacancy could be 2. I mean, we're talking to different tenants that take the last vacancies left to the left of Ollie's.
The site plan, you can see it's the east end of the building. It's frame 10, yeah.
There, thank you, Mike.
And they have, there's potentially 3 spots, plus there's an outdoor where I think it was the old garden center, Jerry.
That is correct.
And coming from, as you're coming up the hill from, heading from the west to the east, I mean, this building is basically invisible due to the mature landscaping and then that incline of the property. I mean, the property had to be leveled out, and you can see from the photos. You start to catch a little bit of the building, but even I'm standing in the lane, and I'm standing. So a person that's actually a little lower in a car is going to see a little less when I'm taking that picture that is on the screen right now. And I'm probably close to the height of someone who's sitting in an SUV or a normal pickup truck. I mean, the building's invisible for the most part. Coming from the east, the large tenants are there's no issue with that. But the smaller tenants, you get glimpses here and there as you go through. These pictures are also taken when leaves were already falling. So as you could see on the ground. So some of the, the trees aren't even full at this point. Some of them, you can see the one in the picture that's on the screen right now at the lower end, the lower frame is actually empty almost already.
So I had one question when I was looking at your application. You mentioned that in 2019, a sign, the electronic sign was built at the entrance or the drive entrance to this allotment. Is there a reason why you don't want to add the potential tenant signs on top of the Mark's digital sign?
That's Mark's sign. Mark went to the city itself to get that sign. We would have to get Mark's permission, and I don't know, I mean, that sign's low. I'm not sure there's even an option to think about because they'll take away from the Mark sign, I think, in my opinion. Mikey, you can add if you like.
It's not designed to have structurally to be increased too much vertically. It's designed for the size that it is. I think the Kmart sign, after review of it, I mean, we're going to have an engineer look at it, but it appears to be way overbuilt. This one it's built for what's there basically. I don't know that from that standpoint, I don't know that we could add too much.
I had a question about the amount of signage, square footage wise, that's allowed on the site. I don't know if Andrew's the best one. Is this additional amount of signage still within what's permitted for that size lot? Or do they even have some space to go?
It is within this freestanding sign area. I think I might have calculated that. Give me 1 second here.
Is there a date in the future when all the signs are going to have to be lowered anyway? And with approving this variance affect that at all?
Actually, let me answer Ken's question first. The maximum area permitted is 164, and with the combination of their signs, they're at 122.
Yeah.
So they're pretty well under the requirement.
Yeah, they're under, right. Okay.
And we had a requirement for non-conforming signs to come into conformance with the code, and I think it was 2021 or 22. Our last
22.
planning and zoning code update that was taken out. There were some issues with not only how we were going to get that accomplished, but also the legality of forcing people to take down signs that were already existing or previously approved by the city.
Okay, any further questions from members of the board? All right, hearing none. Andrew, let's go into the public hearing portion. We'll declare the public hearing open and entertain any comments from members of the public.
I'm not receiving any comments. There's only 2 watching, and at least one of them is me. So
Okay. All right, then we will declare the public hearing portion of the meeting to be closed. Are there any further comments from the appellants or questions from members of the board? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion from members of the board.
I'll make a motion to approve this as presented.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Motion by Brad. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, voting in the affirmative on BZA 20-28. Brad?
I believe that the applicants have demonstrated the uniqueness of this property, especially again, as you're coming in from up the hill. The pictures were good evidence. Being familiar with that area, it's good evidence. So on the review criteria sheet, it'd be letter A that swings in my favor, but I'm going to vote yes.
Okay, thank you, Brad. Mark?
I'm also going to vote yes. In agreeing with Brad, letter A, I'm sorry, is kind of the main one I was looking at. The uniqueness of the lot and the steepness of the street grade and where the building's situated makes this a pretty easy thing for me to vote yes for. I'd also say that, as Andrew stated, the total square footage is still significantly under that of the code for the area, which is another reason I will be voting yes.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Doug?
I'm also,
Yes.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I think it's Doug.
Oh.
I asked
I'm
for
voting,
Doug first. You're next, Ken.
okay, I'm voting
So-
yes. For the reasons that were already stated, primarily that the site makes it very difficult to do anything other than signage at the road for those businesses in the back, and the fact that they are considerably under what they are really allowed. So I think it's a reasonable request.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Doug?
Yes, I'm going to agree with what was said. The elevation there as you come up the road, it makes it difficult to see the sign, partly because of the mature trees. And I would rather they keep the mature trees. I think that's a nice touch to it. So I'm going to vote yes, in agreeing with what was said previously.
Okay,
Also.
thank you, Doug. Ben?
Yeah, as Mark and Brad mentioned, letter A fits this situation perfectly. I used to drive by it every day, and when they were doing the renovations, and even now, like, it does not stand out very well. So, and it's a reasonable ask of what they're asking for. So I vote yes.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Greg?
For all the reasons stated by my colleagues, I'll vote yes also.
Okay, and I too, for all of the citations of my colleagues, I too will vote yes. So the application is granted.
I'd like to add one thing. The reason for the intense landscape, which is obscuring it, was a requirement that the city made of the Kmart was like the premier development at that time for landscaping and all the rest. So in some senses, we created the situation ourselves by making things invisible behind there.
We thank you for granting us this appeal.
Thank you for your
We appreciate it.
consideration.
Great,
Yes,
thanks for
thank you.
being here.
We hope to make it better now, so thank you. That'll help us.
Okay, Andrew, is there anything else that we need to consider?
Nothing else for the board.
All right. Since there's nothing else on our agenda, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Brad.
Second.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed say no. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
Andrew, can
Thank
I
you
ask
all.
one question real quick? Andrew?
Yeah.
One question that came up, does this need to go before council?
No, it does not.
Okay, so is there any waiting period?
No, it's just the typical
Go
sign
to
permit,
building department at this point.
and that should be it.
Okay, sounds great. All right, thank you very much.